My questions are approved, but I might sneak one in, we'll see. But thanks everyone for coming, and first I'd like to welcome Victoria to the Minneapolis writer community. It's so great to have her here, and I feel like this community is very vibrant, full of wonderful authors and independent bookstores.
For sure, yeah,
So,
for sure.
this is her first winner.
I'm fine. Look at you all concerned. Oh my God.
She's from Michigan, so I think she's going to stay.
I don't need a support person. I'll make it through. I promise. I'm not from Florida.
Wait till I get that call at the end of January.
Hawaii. I'm thinking Hawaii.
Right?
Yeah. Thelma, be my Louise.
I got it. How about if we talk about the book? You know, I'm thinking about Trinkets for the Taking. This is a wonderful, creative book. And I'm wondering, how did you get the idea? What inspired this book? It's a little bit of a departure from the other books that you've written that I've read. She's written about 40. I've read all but 2.
What haven't you written?
The early, the oracles.
Oh, yeah, the Oracle. Okay. Forget
They're
it.
long.
Forget it. And middle school, so you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
I'm out of middle
Squeaked
school.
under that.
Okay.
Let's see. But I've got my eye on it. So where did I get the idea? Well, I self-published a book several years ago called A Spell to Unbind. And I really liked this idea of, and I've always liked this idea of special people kind of walking among us, you know? And they aren't telling us they're special, but every once in a while they expose themselves to someone, right?
Mystics.
So, I loved, well, not expose,
Okay.
but in a purely rated G form, expose it. And I just thought it would be cool if the thing that separated these people was that they were under a spell, a magical spell. And in becoming spellbound, they themselves developed magical powers. So it's kind of an urban fantasy-esque kind of thing. So I loved that world. My sister and I were, my sister was my copy editor, my proofreader. I hated her at the end. I mean, like, hated her. I was like, okay, thanks for this 3-hour long sesh to find every typo in this book. I can't look at you or talk to you for days. But I really liked being in that world. So my editor at the end of the Calculi series, well, he just announced, he's like, okay, so the Calculi series, which is 5 books, is at an end. And those are not words that you long to hear from your publisher. So I braced, and he said, you know, I'd like 2 more books, something about witches. Amazing idea, editor, thank you. I will run with that, something about witches. So, at the time that he said this, I started to get very ill. So I was ill for about a year. I had an undiagnosed gallbladder issue that made being just almost intolerable. Finally got it diagnosed, and I was on, like, I'm limping along trying to make the next deadline, which kept getting extended out. And finally, my agent was like, it's a do or die date, March 1st. It either is in or they're gonna have to push out publishing it. So March 1st was the day of my surgery. I stayed up until, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning, sent it off, then had to wake up at 4 to go get surgery. And I'm in recovery. And you know how, like, I don't know if you've all had surgery, but in surgery, when you're waking up, your brain's awake, but your body is not cooperating, like, at all, right? So my brain, I wake up and I'm freezing, but the one thought that keeps pounding away at the inside of my brain was, oh my God, what have I done? There's not a witch in that book. There are no witches in that book. I'm gonna have to write that again. So I sweated it for a solid 2 weeks, and then he wrote back and he said, I loved it. I couldn't stop turning the pages. I have no notes, no edits, going straight to copy edit, and I just was like, thank the baby Jesus, thank the baby Jesus. So yeah, so that's where the idea kind of came from.
Great. Success. In fact, it launched in November. In December, it was on the USA Today bestseller list. It's received some other awards too, like top new mystery release, I believe.
Amazon,
Yeah.
editor's pick, which was a shock, and like I'm in great company on that one, so I'm very, very happy. It's not a book I would think that would be kind of in that category and called out like that, so I was, surprised and very, very happy that it's been doing so well.
Definitely. So
Yeah.
something neat about the book, there is a little critter. Yeah. The critter's name is Bits.
Oh.
We
Bits is a hedgehog, and he's an enchanted hedgehog, because if you are enchanted by a spell, if you are spellbound, you live a very long time. So you kind of stop aging right around 30, when you're your most glamorous. And I thought it would be cool if Debbie had a pet that was enchanted that could age as long as she could. So yeah, Bits has other little tricks up his sleeve. He can teleport anywhere. So if he doesn't want to be in his snuggle on the desk, he can just teleport himself upstairs. Or he's also Debbie's stylist too, because who doesn't want a hedgehog to pick their clothes out? I want that.
So why not a porcupine? Like, what's with the magic
little
of the head? I mean, we
prickly.
love Bits.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a little bit. Well, porcupines, like
They
saw
make cute noises.
Oh my God! Have you ever heard a porcupine? Google this, Instagram it. Porcupine eating a pumpkin. There is a little porcupine. I forget his name, but he eats a pumpkin, and it's like. Like it's this high pitched kind of nerfy sort of sound, and it's adorable. Teddy, his name's Teddy. Teddy the
Cute.
porcupine. You'll thank me later. Why not a porcupine? I think it was just like getting him on the quills would have been a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hedgehog was a
A
very
little
good
prickly,
choice.
a little sticky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, how about this question? Let's kind of go back to the beginning of your writing career. Do you remember when you were able to quit your day job?
No. Yes, I do.
And how did that feel? How did that feel? I would think that'd be
Terrifying.
scary.
Absolutely terrifying. So, at the time, I was writing 3 books a year, reading 12 clients a week. I was working 54 hours a week at a job I freaking hated. I was a project manager for Dunkin' Donuts distribution center out in Boston. Oh, I hated it. I was just miserable. There wasn't even, it's not that there weren't hours off, days off, there weren't hours off. I was working morning, noon, and night, weekends, nights, all of that stuff. So I wanted to write oracles. I had an idea for the Oracles of Delphi series. It was supposed to be 4 books, stopped at 3. And I wanted to write like an epic sort of fantasy because I'm a masochist. So I start this project and it sold in literally 7 days, which you would think was great, but then my editor sent an editor's letter over, because anytime you send them the first run of the manuscript, they will send you a letter, yay, I'm so happy to be working with you, and here's everything that's wrong with this book. And she basically, in a really sweet, nice way, said, you have to start at the beginning and do it all over again, because it's just wrong. So I had to toss out, it was 135,000 words, I had to toss out probably 120,000 and start over. Oh, it was brutal. It was so brutal. I loved her though, she was great, I learned a lot from her. But, so this sold, and I needed off of the hamster wheel, so I called my agent, and I said, I'm gonna ask you this question, I know what your answer is gonna be, because it's the same answer you have for literally everyone who asks this question. Can I quit my day job? And there's a pause, and I'm like, say no. And he said, I think you can. I think you got it. And he said, listen, and it was just the best advice. He said, why don't you quit for a year, commit for a year, and at the end of that year, if you're not making it, if it's not going, then you've only been out of work a year, and you have a legitimate excuse. You're a published author, you've made the New York Times bestseller list, you can say, I took a year off to write a novel. Everybody's gonna buy that. So I was like, well, that's my advice. I just have to survive a year. So I made it that year, and then I made it the next year, and here we are, like 17 years later.
And here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So it worked.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm still working my ass off. But it
She
worked.
is. She absolutely is. So in addition to being a New York Times best-selling author,
It's a
you are-
sash. They send you a
yeah,
sash.
yes, it should have a sash with glitter,
I'm not saying I made
flashing
one
lights.
and found a tiara to go with it
Yes.
and mastered the wave or anything.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you also, so in addition to being a writer, you love to read,
I do.
which I think is really neat. So I wanted to ask you a question about what you're reading now, and then also, is there a book that you wish you would have written? That's kind of a tough
It's a
one.
good one.
Yeah. That was a little on the evil side.
I will tell you, Rebecca Yaros's Imperium series, it blows my doors off. I so love. She's a better writer than I am, but man, what a great idea! And she writes it so fearlessly. So if I had her talent, she's really good. Like she's really good. That would be, well, and the fact that she's me, she's money too, doesn't hurt.
Right.
That
helps.
She doesn't have a day job. She doesn't have to work a day job anymore. I think she's good.
I think so.
I love her writing. I loved her idea. And that fearless kind of attacking writing that she does. It's inspiring. So what am I reading now? I'm reading a book called Quicksilver, and I hate it.
Okay. You don't have to finish it.
I hate it. Here's why I hate it. It's really well written. It's it's a fantasy. It's a romantasy. The woman has talent for days, but the love interest is an asshole. Like he's so mean. He's just so mean. So I don't like the whole kind of abusive angle, and the woman or the lead protagonist has to convince the man to be nice to her. Like that bothers me.
Right.
So I'm in the middle of it, and it's not getting nicer. So that's where I am.
Perhaps we need to make a new selection.
I'm looking like at that book. I'm like, that's mine. That book over there. Sold.
I have a question around reviews. So I know when I pick up a Victoria Laurie book, it's gonna be fast, fun, and entertaining, right? It's gonna be light. I'm gonna enjoy it. I have a new commitment to myself that this year I'm gonna write a review for every book that I read.
You guys who write reviews, you have no idea how much that helps us. You really, really, if you read a book and you are in any way 3 stars or above, please, 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 a line or two. It really, really, really helps us. That more than anything.
Like on Amazon or?
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
I don't care. Goodreads.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, Goodreads. They're vicious on Goodreads.
They are.
Leave the
Yes,
other
they are.
reviews. Cause they cut a bitch, but, I'm taking her home.
She's laughing. That's Jenny. She's
Jenny,
my
we're-
friend.
we're favorites.
Well, I just wanted to touch on the power of reviews because it's
Yeah.
something that, as many books as I've read, I never took the time to write a review, and shame on me, right? So this year I'm doing it. I'm
No
starting
shame.
off
There's
with
no
the
shames.
stars, and then I'm writing the review, and it's actually a little bit, I put thought into it
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you don't give it 5 stars. It's a matter of you are putting your thoughts.
Exactly.
On
Mixed
paper,
reviews,
so to
mixed
speak.
reviews are really good.
Yeah,
Nothing but
Mhm.
5 stars, no one's gonna
Mhm.
believe it.
true.
So
Mhm.
mixed reviews really do help. Now, having said that,
Yeah.
don't be a hater.
Don't be a hater.
Yeah, don't
No
be
one
a
in this
hater.
group will be a hater.
Don't be a hater. You know, don't write reviews because, unless I really love it, because, there's a pack out there of haters for me, and I have written reviews for other authors, and then that review got attacked, and it draws negative attention to that author, unfortunately, so, I just come here and tell you, I hated that book.
How about this? Do you read the reviews?
My reviews, never. I try not to, I really try not to, but like, I've read yours, obviously, but in hunting for yours,
Put my
of
real
course
name.
my eye slides to
That's a
the,
mistake.
you know, this is shit.
So don't use your real name. Victoria's book was awful. No, I'm just kidding.
You might end up as a victim in my next book. I don't know. Okay, so here's my funny story about a review. Okay,
Okay.
so this was years ago, and this caused me so much pain at the time. So the backstory is there was an author on Amazon who passed away, and her sister was left to kind of promote her book. And the book was reviewed by someone named Butterscotch, who was vicious. Did not buy the book, just was vicious, and took it as her own personal thing to just crush the book, unfortunately. So I got into it with her, with Butterscotch, and then I put her in a book. I made her a cross-dresser with bad breath. And crotchety. I'm not saying that's gonna happen to any of you.
No. But please write reviews.
Just don't call yourself Butterscotch.
Use a code name. Don't say Chris Muncie.
Exactly.
Oh, well, I have two more questions. So
Firewood ready.
I've heard that there's a sequel to Trinkets.
Yeah. And you know how you heard it? Because you've been living it with me. I hate this book, I hate it. It's killing me, I hate it. Yeah, I just ate my life up for all of December. The last part of November and then the end of December. So it took me, I wanna say it took me about 6 or 7 weeks to write and then 6 or 7 weeks to edit. And it's just, you have to wear 2 different hats. I'm what's called a pantser, so I make it up as I go along. And, boy, was it a joyride to write. I was having so much fun, woo-hoo-hoo. And then I got to the, detail part. So, a lot of the books, A Trinket for the Taking. A trinket is an object, everyday object, that is imbued with a magical power, right? So, like a pen gets enchanted, to make you invisible when you're somewhere you don't wanna be, right? Or when you're somewhere you're not supposed to be. So, I have to think of trinkets, and then I have to give them a power, and then I have to weave them throughout the book, so in a way that you don't go, but wait, where's that $silver? Why doesn't she have that in her purse right now? And then it got like nutty, like which way does the door to a tomb open? Literally went down a rabbit hole a couple of hours trying to research the way. Do they open in? Do they open out? How do they open? Cause that whole thing, had a whole scene in a tomb. So that was painful. That was very painful, but it's done. So no witches in that one either.
No witches.
No witches.
But
No witches.
it's going to come out a year after Trinkets, so November.
November. And it's significantly longer than Trinket. Trinket was about 83,000 words. This one's 123,000 words. So, and it's a wild ride. I think there were like 10 battle scenes or something.
Tell us how many pages that many words is.
Oh, probably 450.
Okay,
Close
so
to
big
500.
one.
So it's meaty. It's meaty.
Yeah.
Get your money's worth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll put that in my
It's
review.
very-
I told her she needed to make it longer, but I didn't mean that long.
The power I have. Make it longer. Yeah, it's, I definitely think it's better than Trinket in a way that, like, you are turning the pages fast, and, it's twisty and sexy and suspenseful, sometimes scary.
Mhm.
There's a lot of funny lines in there, I've told you most of them. There's nothing better than making myself laugh, and then I've gotta share that I've made myself laugh by texting Chris. Chris, this is the line I just had. And she sends the
Emoji,
emoji
emoji,
back.
emoji.
It's a thing we have. So, yeah, it's called, that's next November, it's called A Murder in the Making. It has the best cover, and,
Great.
Biscuits a few more magical powers.
How fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's cool, it's cool. I'm proud of that book, so.
Good, you should be.
Thank you.
Yeah, exciting. All right, so let's kind of twist around a little bit here. So we said you quit your day job.
Yeah.
But I think I think you have like 3 day jobs, really. So you're writing.
Yep.
You have a podcast.
Yep.
And you also are
Now I'm
a
a
real
videographer.
a videographer and a real life psychic.
Yeah, real life psychic, yeah. I think it's funny that it's like real life psychic.
We've got-
I'm a fake psychic.
We've got a fix
Miss Cleo here. Let me get my headscarf and bangles. Yeah, so I'm the most reluctant psychic you've ever met. This was not something that when I was a kid, I was like, let me be a psychic. It just was this thing that I couldn't quite get away from. And weird stuff just kept happening to me. And I didn't want any part of it. But it was one of those things that the harder I tried to get away from it, the more it kind of followed me. And I had sort of a life-changing experience when I met one of the world's most gifted mediums who was just starting out. And I was trying to, she became a really good friend of mine. And I was trying to convince her to go professional. She was a nanny at the time, making like $8 an hour. It was sad. Her line back to me was, I will if you will. I will if you will. And I thought. So then I was like, she's a sweetie pie, she's not gonna do this. So I'm like, okay, I'll do that. That's fine, I'll do that. The next day, I've got clients, I found a place to read from. Ha ha, how are you doing? Sorry ma'am, this is an Arby's. It was just, oh God, it was awful. So then I was like, well, maybe I can I was living in Florida at the time, and I thought, well, maybe I can just go around town and inquire for these metaphysical stores that are all over St. Petersburg. And they'll tell me no, and it'll be I tried, couldn't get it done, you go, woohoo, you go girl. And the literal first shop I went into, I go in and I give this rambling speech. I'm feeling more and more self-conscious by the second. And this owner was just kind of looking at me like that, right? And I'm like, oh my God, she thinks I'm crazy. I need to flee. I need to just go. Feet, don't fail me now. And before I could do that, she said, you know what's so crazy? She said, I was just about to put an ad in the local St. Petersburg metro, paper. I'm looking for a tea leader or a fortune teller. She said, I've converted this whole room over here, and I want to do a grand opening with a psychic. And then I thought,
Did you say, I know someone?
yeah, I wish I'd been quicker on my feet. Unfortunately, wasn't. So I ended up working at this little hole-in-the-wall kind of metaphysical shop, and I kept waiting for people to call me out as a fraud, and for it to go nowhere, so I could end this experiment, this excruciating experiment. And one day, I get this guy in, and he sits down, and he's in a work uniform, and he's got a name tag on his work uniform. And he sits down, and he looks like I did when Rebecca was like, I will if you will. He clearly talked into this. And I was charging $25. And so he sits down, and I am like nervous because he's a guy and he's obviously very skeptical. So I start off with, are you struggling in your relationship? Are you thinking about leaving your wife? No. He gets all offended. Okay. If you decide to split up with your wife, you have kids, right? Yeah. I think you'll get the kids. That won't happen. Okay. Are you thinking about selling your home? No. Okay. If you do think about selling your home, I think that you will end up with a view of water. He does that, right? So, what is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it coming from there?
It's a phone in my phone.
So I said, you'll have a view of water. Now this is St. Petersburg. A view of water is going to cost you $1 million. This guy works probably at a garage, right? And he's looking at me like, oh my God, can I get my money back? And I'm thinking, I'll pay you to just leave. So then I said, are you thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, like starting your own business? Nope. Okay. If you think about starting your own business, I think it'll be pretty successful. I will. And then I said, if you and your wife don't work out, don't worry, you're gonna meet the love of your life, and she will have a V initial. And he looks at me like this, right? And I'm like, not me! It's not me! So he leaves, right? And on a sigh. And I went home and started crying because I am obviously a fraud. Oh my God, I can't do this. This is ridiculous. I hate this. I don't ever want to do this again. But I had appointments for the week, so fine, I go back and I do it. And it's getting a little better, and I start to get some regulars, and I'm like, okay, well, this is so terrible. And then 6 months go by, and guess who shows up? This guy. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? Right? I'm like, he's back to torture me? Like, I don't understand. No refunds. You paid for it. No refunds, the sign says. So he sits down and he goes, I went home and I told my wife what you said. And she admitted that she's been having an affair. And she wants a divorce. And she doesn't want the kids. So we got divorced. I sold my home. And we had to move into an apartment. And the only one that I could find that would accommodate the boys, 2-bedroom, affordable, had a view of the pool. And right around that time, my cousin called and said, hey, go get certified to fix ACs. We'll start a business together. So now I run my own business. And then last week, I went into a bar and I met the most beautiful woman I've ever met in my life, and her name is Minerva. And I'm like, maybe there's something to this. So that was it. That was sort of my legit, okay, I can do this. So that was 24 years ago. That was 2000. So.
And thousands of clients later.
Millions of clients all over the world now
Yes.
clamor for my attention. I may or may not insult them. So, yeah. So, it's fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. I mentioned your podcast. We should probably talk just a teensy bit about that, and then your Patreon page as well.
Yeah. So my podcast is about cold case murders where we research a murder and I see if there's any there, right? So who was convicted for it, what were the circumstances, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we've done a bunch of like famous cases, but we've also done cases that were less well known. And I really like it. Like George Reeves, who was Superman from the 40s and 50s, he supposedly committed suicide. No, he did not. That was a mob hit. That was an absolute 100% mob hit. So that was one of my favorite episodes because it was so clear to me like what happened. That it was almost like That is Pen Podcast, the Psychic Guy Mystery Podcast. You can find it on YouTube, you can find it on Spotify. We're up to our 73rd episode, about to record our 73rd episode, so. And now we're doing, with the Pen Podcast, we're also interviewing authors and book bloggers. So we'll be having other authors on and, talking about books and all that good stuff, so. Little cross promotion, that's fun.
And she does start each and every recording with one of her books.
One of the
Right.
books, one of the books and then an anecdote from the week.
Yes, and those are fun.
Yeah.
Very fun.
So, the anecdote is just, I started doing some mediumship stuff a couple of years ago, and it's just really, it's difficult for me because I don't have what's called clairaudient, which is the ability to hear them. So they just kind of show me stuff. So, want to hear an anecdote? Okay.
Please.
So, 2 weeks ago, I was reading for a longtime client of mine, and her marriage has been very, very difficult. Her husband caught some inappropriate texts that she had sent to someone. They share, I guess, custodial duties or taking care of a severely autistic daughter who is nonverbal, and she's older, and it's just a lot of stress for this woman. They're both in high-end stress jobs. So she's had it rough, and her mother came in right away. So I'm like, Kimberly, is your mom over? And she goes, she died right before Christmas. I was so hoping she was gonna show up. So I'm like, okay, well, she's here. And then, like, in my mind, this mom shows me a stained glass window and then music. So I said, well, she loved her memorial. And I'm thinking, wait, that's wrong, memorial. Where did I get that word? Because she just died. That's not a memorial, it should be a funeral. Why am I saying memorial, right? And Kimberly goes, we didn't have music. And I'm like, yeah, you did. I'm thinking, I'm arguing with this woman who just arranged her mother's funeral. This is going well. So, she says, no, we didn't. Okay, really? None of her favorite songs were played? No. Okay. Maybe at some point in the future, you will have a memorial for your mom and just play all of her favorite songs. And she's looking at me like, I don't know my mom's favorite songs, right? So, we're going along, and she says that she confesses that she was really tight with the drummer of Rush. So way back when, she met the band, became a big groupie, and the drummer of Rush passed away a couple of years ago, like 3 years ago. They were coming to Pennsylvania for a concert. She was invited, or she got tickets to the concert, and then she was invited to a pre-concert concert, a memorial for this drummer. A memorial with music, right? So she was being talked out of going by her husband because it's been so tough. And he was being kind of bullying her and verbally abusing her, and she was just being kowtowed into a corner kind of thing. And we finally figured out it was her mother saying, get your ass to that memorial, go have fun, you deserve some joy. So we did this whole thing. Oh, and I remember too, I kept asking her, does a cop patrol your neighborhood? And she's like, no. And I said, okay, well, I keep saying woo in the rearview mirror, so just make sure that you are driving the appropriate speed limit, and pass that message on to your husband too, because I almost feel like he's responsible. So, like, if you're in the car with me, just remind him, to go slow. And then I said, and keep track of your keys. I keep feeling like your keys are gonna go missing, so keep track of your keys. Well, it turns out that she was not going to tell him that she was just leaving for Pennsylvania, and we figured out that he probably had a whole thing where he was going to take her keys and hide her keys and probably call the cops on her. Oh, the car's been stolen, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. So we had to do this whole thing where I'm like, go get a pedicure 2 hours before you're supposed to leave, and then just leave from the pedicure. And he tracks her on the iPhone, there's an app that you can track people on. And this whole thing, but they're getting a divorce, she's going on with life, she's gonna get some good, she went to the concert, so all is good. So, that's my anecdote. I thought it was just so cool that the mom was not backing off of music, memorial, music, memorial.
And it took us a while to figure out, right?
Yeah.
Neat. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. We're probably at a time where we can open it up for some questions.
Does anybody, see, this is the part where everybody looks around awkwardly like, oh, don't make eye contact. So does anybody have anything where they'd like a little bit of intuitive input on anything going on in your lives? I'm not asking to see your underwear, I'm just asking if you have anything that's going on in your life and you're like, I don't know how this is gonna turn out, I'm a little worried about it.
I'll go, cause I do feel that way.
Fantastic.
Yeah, figuring out what my career is gonna be, and I mean, I'm in a job right now, and trying to figure out if.
You're
this is
super
it.
at a crossroads and you have a choice in front of you, so it's either steady as she goes and be bored to death and change in 2 to 3 years, or decide to grab, the, what is it, by the tail? Grab the what by the tail? Grab the something by the tail.
Yes,
Yeah, grab it by the tail, and make the change now. I really am gonna recommend that you be brave and do it now, because I think it's gonna be much harder in 3 years. And you will have wasted these next 3 years continuing to try and convince yourself that staying there is a good idea when it's not. So you deserve a job that you feel like you're contributing to and appreciated at, which is not what you're getting right now. Like, I don't know if they'd really notice if you were gone, you know what I'm saying? So, being brave right now and just going for it, you'll be so far ahead in 3 years, really. You're gonna go back and forth until February, and then something's going to trigger, okay, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna change. Don't stay put, that's the wrong thing, okay? Like, I don't wanna tell you what to do,
No,
this is what you need to
great,
do.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what you need to do. And it doesn't feel like it's the same title, right? This would be a different,
Yep,
whole different kind of industry or direction.
yeah.
And it's absolutely the one you need to be on. That's the path you need to be on. This one is like driving through sand.
she's a liar.
Well, I know I'm giving her some advice now.
Sand is definitely good.
I'm giving her the best advice I could give a lawyer. Get out. Yeah,
Thank you, that was
Yeah,
very
okay.
cool.
Same thing.
same thing?
Crossroads job, yeah.
Okay. You're gonna hate my answer. You're kind of the opposite. I think staying put for about a year to 18 months is a better option for you, okay? So, look, do your thing, you know, look, and if there's anything that jumps out at you and is like, hi, shiny penny, go for it, okay, go for it. But there's a feeling like you stay put for about a year and a half, and then options really start popping for you. So, if you go looking and you're not seeing anything pop, don't get frustrated. It's kind of like there's this slow period for you for about the next 18 months, okay? Yeah, like the middle of 2026, June of 2026, May of 2026 looks better for a change for you. Because you don't want to change for the sake of changing, right? You want it to be right, right? And your next lily pad, your jump lily pad, just doesn't look like it's available right now. There's a frog on it, so you gotta wait for that frog to move. Okay? Alright? You'll get where you wanna be and where you need to be, but it's just, it's out there a little bit, okay? It's out there a little bit. Don't get frustrated with it, okay? So if you don't find like a thing to be a shiny penny, it's not anything you're doing. It's just a strong opportunity, okay? It's not in the cards.
It would be something totally different, or,
I can hear.
Is it gonna be something totally different?
No, not really.
no, that's
Yeah.
fine.
No, it's pretty much the same. It's like different set of people, different group, different dynamic, different culture,
No,
okay? okay? So that is refreshing, okay? You were hoping for her answer. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's
I only
okay.
give one of those out at a time at a book signing. Oh, you're magical and special. You kind of suck, so you're just gonna stay.
Your life's gonna be the
Sucks to
same.
you.
No.
If only you'd left more.
How about another
You're
question?
Jan, she's Marcia.
We have a question in the front row.
Yes.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm wondering if I should move to, well, specifically Berlin, Germany.
Oh my God, and take me with you. Berlin,
Well-
Germany. There's an adventure waiting for your girlfriend. Are you brave enough to go though?
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Adventure awaits. Now, we've entered a whole new era, right? It's getting scary in Europe, right?
Yeah.
But Germany has been through this before. They've seen this before. And my money's on them. They're an incredibly resilient people and fierce and tough. So I think that their borders are pretty secure. I don't think Putin would mess with Germany. I just don't think he would. So from what I can tell for you, that feels very safe. And I just feel like, yes, you're gonna be, I'm an expat, I miss home. Yes, there will be moments like that, but there's also this kind of, I don't know, Germans aren't known for their sense of humor at all. But I could just see laughter around you and having fun and adventure. So, you know someone there, right?
Not
Are you
in-
trying to talk someone into going with you?
No, no, this would be all on myself.
Okay, you may quickly make a friend there, all right? And I don't think they're German, but I don't think they're American. So they could be Dutch or something along those lines. So it's two expats kind of pal on there. I love that for you. I really do, I love it for you. So, be brave, be courageous, you can do it, you can do it. Seriously, seriously. I mean, the thing that you don't want is 10 years from now to look back and go, damn it, I wish I had, you know, wish I'd done that thing. And if all it takes is a little birdie, here's the other thing, you can always come back.
That's right.
You can literally get on a plane and be like, bye, and just come right back. But you can't, you're running out of time to make that kind of a move, okay? I'm not saying you're dying,
Yeah, I know.
but, no.
Thank you.
I think you're at the point in life where decisions like that aren't going to come along very often, right? Yeah, you're not 20 and, you know, bye, is not as easy. There are a lot of considerations, but man, would you have a great time?
Okay.
You would just have such a good time. Are you also thinking about Ireland?
No, I wasn't.
Okay,
No, I mean, for moving, no, not really.
okay. There's a lot of Ireland right now. So, that's what I was saying.
Well, I'll be in-
I will say that if you end up in Ireland, you can go anywhere in Europe for $50 on Orion Air. So if you wanna go tour Europe, go to Belfast, hop a flight from Belfast to anywhere in Europe for $50. That's one way, I'm sorry, I know. The other $50 back is gonna break you. But, yeah, and it's not like a, plane held together with Band-Aids. It actually is a decent airline.
But they charge $50 a bag, so at the end of the day.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, right.
I think we have time for one more question. How about in the back?
Another career one, my position's done in August and I'm trying to decide, do I stay in the Twin Cities, Minnesota, do I leave, do I stay in the same industry? Kind of another crossroads question.
You gotta translate. I'm sorry, I'm hearing impaired, so like I couldn't hear any of that.
Oh, okay, my work position is done in August, I'm trying to decide do I stay in Minnesota, do
No.
I leave?
You're not staying, you're not. That was gonna be the first thing out of my mouth when you were like, I have a contract ending, and I'm like, oh, you're moving, oh, cool. Are you thinking East Coast?
I was debating, I was looking at Maine for a while.
Where?
Maine.
Maine.
That's where you belong, girl. Go get you some.
If you move there, I'm from
Maine,
there.
Vermont,
I
and
can
New
give you
Hampshire
tips.
all work for you, even Massachusetts works for you.
Okay.
So New England, it really, really works for you. And you may start out in one place and then move south. Just because Maine's kind of very sparsely populated, few and far between, and you may need a little bit more life around you. And you can really find that in New Hampshire. So if it doesn't work out in Maine, consider New Hampshire. Okay?
Cool.
Yeah, but you're out of here. Bye-bye.
Sounds good, thank you.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna close with a quick question. So my husband Jay is wondering if there's a future book that has a bald hero.
It comes up, I bring it up very relevant event.
He's had lots of false promises.
Thank you for asking that.
So remember I was telling you about this character, Vicky?
Yes.
Jay, I'm not saying it's completely modeled after you, but he is bald. He's only about 5'8", and he's just a little bit. He's just adorable.
Take it. You do your
There you have it.
Thanks.
Completely modeled after you.
I think Victoria does have a pet parrot that I babysitted one time, and she did. The bird did say,
Okay.
Polly,
Okay.
Polly.
Okay.
Wait, sir.
Chris and I go to Texas for a book signing, and Jay very kindly says, "Hey, I'll check on your parrot." Right? So I have an African gray parrot, and my African gray parrot is not caged. She's free fly all around, right? I'm just kind of praying she doesn't do a whole lot of damage while I'm gone. So Jay goes to my apartment. He's not on speakerphone, but I can hear it through the speaker. I can hear it. Hearing him hear me. Can hear it through the speaker. My parrot has landed on the counter, and she's been just tearing shit apart, having fun, like, you know, what was Tupperware is now just shredded, right? So I go, Jay, you know, just like pick her up and toss her, and she'll end up at her perch, which is across the room. He's like, okay. And I'm like, but don't hold the phone. You cannot have a phone in your hand because she will bite you. This is probably a thing I shouldn't have said, because then now he's nervous, right? Like, oh God, she's gonna bite me. So he goes over, and all we hear is it goes on and on and on. He comes back to the phone, he goes like, I don't think she liked that. I'm like, leave her, just leave her. It's fine. I'll be home tomorrow. Yeah, no, what a trooper. What a my hero, honestly. You got her back on the perch. You got her back on the perch. So.
And she's still alive today.
And they both survived.
Yes.
So, heroes.
Great. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
Thank you
This
for
was
coming.
a lot of
Thank you for coming out.
fun.